Today we're going to go through a bit of history and learn a little bit more about Martin Luther King and his very famous "We Have a Dream" speech. This will also tie into some art that we have been going through as well. Before we watch this video, let's think about some questions. What do we already know about Martin Luther King Jr.? How did he use his speech to convey his ideas and dreams? Were there certain elements of his dreams that may be similar to yours now? Now we'll watch the video and then come back to these questions. Now that we've watched the video, let's think about the questions that we were asked before. After answering these questions, we'll be moving on. Who was Martin Luther King? Martin Luther King Jr. was an American Baptist minister and activist. He became the most visible spokesman and leader in the civil rights movement. He was an activist from 1955 until his assassination in 1968. On March 1965, Martin Luther King led thousands of non-violent demonstrators to the steps of the Capitol in Montgomery, Alabama. His "I Have a Dream" speech was spoken on August 28, 1963 in Washington, D.C. Now let's talk about a little bit from our art. Hannah Hoche was an artist from Berlin, Germany, and she was one of few female artists of her time. She used collages to address her gender discrimination and women's suffrage. She was more abstract than literal interpretations. And we can see some of her art right here and how it's not very common and how it's a little bit, some would say, weird and not very normal art that we are used to seeing. Now what we will be doing today is we will be discussing some important elements of this collage. We have collages in mood, pattern, balance, overlap, texture, juxtaposition. These are all things that we've talked and discussed about in our art for the past couple of days. Questions for the class. What elements of art does Hannah Hoche use? How does she use art to show her hopes and dreams? What is the mood of Hannah Hoche's work? Realism versus abstract art. Here is some of Hannah Hoche's work, and here are some pictures within the MLK book that we have been reading. Now let's get on to our activity. It's very simple. We will split up to 3 to 2 student groups, and you create your own "I Have a Dream" vision board. Use at least 2 of the described collage elements, and experiment with realism versus abstract interpretations of your hopes and dreams. When you're finished, each student needs to craft a sentence of 3 to 5 artist statements about how your dreams and what your elements use to show these dreams / aspirations.